Hello, and welcome to Mental Health Mondays, where we take time to look at all the different things that support our mental health and wellness. My name is Jenna Kelland. I'm a holistic mental wellness coach, mom of 3 kids with special needs, and burnout survivor. And one of the things I learned through my experience with burnout is that there are lots of things that we need in place to support our mental health and wellness. There is not just one answer. There are many things that we need and support in place to really support us to live our best lives. And so I've been inviting guests to share their expertise on all the different things that support our mental health and wellness. And today my guest is Lynn Vollmer, and Lynn is a belief works expert, an instructor, and a Theta healing master. So welcome, Lynn. It's great to have you with us today.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, Jenna.
All right. So Lynn, why don't you tell me a little bit about why you do what you do?
Well, about 10 plus years ago, I suffered a deep depression and I was not going in the really right direction. So I had been in depression for a long, long time, and I had grown up in a really toxic environment, and I was just bringing back a lot of toxic relationships to me, even though I did my best not to. And I was at the end of my rope where I started contemplating suicide. And I recognized that if I wanted to really change how I felt and thought, and if I wanted to continue being in my kids' lives, then something really had to radically change. So I ended up going on a journey, and I found Theta healing. I found belief work, and using a step-by-step process, I totally changed my life. And now, because it has healed my depression and healed how I was thinking and feeling, to something that has brought more clarity, something that has helped me really step into a truly healthy way of thinking and being. I fell in love with it. I've never looked back, and that's why I love what I do.
All right. So can you tell, for people who don't know, what belief work and Theta healing are? Because I'm not sure I know exactly what those mean.
Sure, I would love to. So what Theta healing and belief work is really known for is being able to tap into the subconscious mind, because that is actually where our limiting beliefs are held. So the subconscious mind holds our belief systems, our thoughts. So everything that we ever experienced as children gets actually placed into the subconscious mind. And we can't consciously change a limiting belief system unless it is actually aligned with the subconscious mind. Otherwise, they kind of go like this, right? So being able to tap into the subconscious mind and being able to release pain, release trauma, release a limiting belief using a theta brainwave, and being able to bring in a download, just like you would download a new song, I guess, to your iPod. We tap into the theta brainwave, and that is the energy of creation. So when we tap into that energy, we can release, re-record, and bring in and witness, and it actually changes on a cellular level. And this is actually something in our workshops that we muscle test. So we don't really know what is held in our subconscious mind until we actually learn how to talk to the body, and we muscle test, and that is how we find out what limiting beliefs are actually creating the reality that's before us.
All right, so I think I can already see the connection, but how does this work then relate to supporting people's mental health and wellness?
Okay, so our mindset actually creates our reality. So how we think, how we feel, and how we perceive life, not just about ourselves, but what we have been conditioned to believe, feel, think about ourselves, about the people in our lives, about our experiences, about our childhood, about culture, about life, religion. That actually creates our reality, and that mindset is actually all within the subconscious mind. So if there's something that is going on in our life, so let's say if we have an adversity or a trigger, that is actually a past trauma that is still left, that's stuck within the cells, that really hasn't been processed yet. So all of our triggers are actually opportunities for us to actually go back, kind of like to the past, and release it on a cellular level using a theta brainwave. So being able to go back and change your mindset plays a really big part with regards to mental health.
All right. So changing how you think about the world and see what's going on around you then.
Well, yeah, that's the global way, but really, you really want to start on the cellular level with regards to yourself, right? Because we're always on a journey that is bringing us closer to self-love. So you always work on from within first, and then you expand that out. So it's really everything that we do is first and foremost about self-love.
All right. So can you share a strategy or a tool, something people could try themselves to work on this?
Sure, I would love to. Okay, so I have this favorite saying that is called adversity is your soul's call to action. And it's based upon 4 principles: soul agreements, adversity, and call to action, and the promise. So if you really bring to mind that we are souls having a human experience, then if you recognize that before coming here, you chose your mother, you chose your father, and you chose your experiences, then what you have done is you have, I might get in trouble for saying this, you have I guess allowed certain people in your life to treat you a certain way, to call you up to action, right? And those are soul agreements. And you came here to experience those adversities in a particular form, whether it's from your childhood and something, if it wasn't healed, then it's going to end up being a pattern in your life. So the whole point is to look at the adversity as unhealed trauma, okay? Unhealed trauma from the past. And what I'd like to share is each adversity is connected to a feeling. Okay, so if you can look at the adversity, look at the people in your life that is actually creating that adversity, you look at, well, what feeling does this evoke within me? And then when you connect with the feeling, go back, close your eyes, and think about, okay, when is the very first time I remember ever feeling this way? And you'll probably connect with it, something in the past that happened way in your childhood. I've had clients that go back all the way to the womb, all the way back into being in the crib. So it can go back as far back as you can remember. Sometimes the subconscious mind will do its best to keep you stuck, so it won't have you go back to the origin. That when you go back to the origin, wherever it takes you, that is where you work from. Okay, and you recognize, okay, so what aspect of this adversity am I still holding on to, right? So what is this feeling really teaching me? And a lot of people might say, well, this makes me angry, but really anger, it's not really about anger. There's a feeling underneath the anger that you really want to get at and bring forward, and you want to bring it in front of you, because if it's behind you, then you can't see it. So we bring everything in the front so we can bring a lot of self-awareness to it and dissect it and process it, because with each adversity, there is, I guess I like to say, it's a point of choice. So it's a chance, or it's an opportunity, it's a doorway for you to actually do something different. Because if you think about it, that adversity, if it has followed you from childhood all the way to adulthood, something's not working. So something needs to change. So you have to change how you're feeling, either about yourself or the adversity or the person who's creating the adversity. Bring in a new perspective, bring in a new belief system, and then you can actually look at, well, with changing this perception, for you to be able to change, what is it that you need to do to really embody that change? So, and sometimes that is a soul's call to action. So it might mean standing up for yourself, or clarifying your boundaries, or learning how to say no, right? So that you get more me time. So it's different for everybody.
All right. Well, that sounds, interesting how we have these patterns. Definitely. I've seen that in my life and working with clients as well, is that we have patterns, and sometimes it's hard to change those because we don't know what started them or where they came from. So it sounds like you've got some tools for really looking at that, where patterns come from, and then disrupting those patterns so we don't keep going back through that again and again.
Right. And you know what? It's really easy. If you can connect to the adversity, and if you can connect with, and it's not so much the person that is creating the adversity, it more has to do with the feeling. And if you can connect with the feeling and, just connect to your heart, into your heart, and just think, okay, when is the very first time I remember feeling like this? And it'll bring you back to where it started, or it'll bring you back as far back as your mind will allow you, right? And you work with that. And normally it has to do with a very traumatic event. And I know that a lot of the times, we don't want to go back, but just allow yourself to go back with objectively without being subjective. And then it makes it so much easier for you to put it in front of you so you can actually look at it and dissect it and see it from a different perspective. And when you open yourself up to that way, to that possibility, then there's a lot of new things that actually is able to come in, and you might receive a lot of beautiful aha moments. And those aha moments, if the aha moments, if the reaction of the aha moment is greater than the adversity, then that actually has a huge ability to change on a cellular level. That's another way of actually doing belief work.
All right, so kind of the opposite of a traumatic experience, but like a positive experience that
Yes.
kind of imprints.
Yes.
Mhm.
Right, for sure. Because I mean, with each adversity, there's a lesson to be learned there, right? So soul is bringing it to you because you haven't learned your lesson yet. But as soon as you learn the lesson and you step into what it is that you're supposed to be learning, and you embody that in a really healthy, loving way to self, then the adversity is no longer needed. And then that is how those soul contracts that you've made with people just totally disappear in your life. And then you end up, you raise your vibration, you raise your frequency, and then you put yourself in a place where you are attracting more loving people in your life.
All right, so that sounds really good. And I know you've got an event coming up where people can learn more about this and how to practice it themselves. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yep. On June 2nd, I have a masterclass, which is about an hour and a half. It is called How to Achieve Clarity and Purpose by Changing How You Think. And we will be going over 3 mistakes that people make in trying to change their mindset. I will be sharing one of the biggest misconceptions that I believe people make with regards to changing their mind, going over the 5 simple steps on how to change your mindset.
All right, although that sounds like really interesting stuff to dive into. So we'll put the link for that with the notes about this episode so people can register for that masterclass and find out more about Lynn's work. Lynn, before people go, I always like to ask them about their favorite book. I love to read and I'm always trying to expand my reading list. So what would you recommend to people who want to explore this some more, or a book that inspires you?
My probably number one favorite is by Michael A. Singer. Please go out and buy his book. The name of his book, he has 2, but my favorite is The Untethered Soul. It really helps you. I talk a lot about what I mentioned, how I mentioned about bringing everything in front of you and being able to be aware with regards to what is going on in your life. He talks a lot about that, and it is a really good read.
All right. Well, I know I've tried to get that one from the library and there's a very long waiting list. So I'm looking forward to reading that one sometime, hopefully soon. So thanks for sharing that and letting us know about it. And thank you for joining us today and sharing a little bit about your skills and expertise. And to everybody watching, I hope you can join us again next week, where we'll have another conversation about all the different things that can support our mental health and wellness, so we can continue to build our own toolkits of resources to help us stay mentally healthy and to live the best lives possible. So thanks for joining us. Take care and be well.